If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Baker and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben and this is Syya. And here's a question for you. What are you afraid of saying? You know, it's beyond the spinach in the teeth or, you know, that shirt doesn't go with those pants. What are we afraid of actually saying? What are the things that we're not willing to say in public because we know the blowback is going to be so brutal that we just don't want to go there. Here's a perfect example, and it's just right there, of what's going on in the Middle East right now. I lived in the Middle East for 3 years. My degree is in international politics, Middle Eastern terrorism. I am not posting on social media. Period. End of story. My opinion is my own. People ask me, I'm more than happy to tell them. I'm on a couple of discussion groups that are private, and we discuss things. But for me to sit there and voice my opinion out on social media is asking for a world of hate, literally, that is just not worth it. And we need to sit there and say, what is the line that we're not willing to cross? Because it's just the subject is either too, vitreous, or it's gonna blow up in our face, or whatever. We all have those lines. The question is, what's yours? And Syya, let's gnaw on this.
I am like fixing my hair because you know what? Because I got no I've got no pearls to clutch. So, there's that Southern saying, and I'm not even a Southern girl, I'm a Californian, but, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got something that you're not educated to say something, please, for the love of God, don't say anything at all. If your perspective on, like, let's say something controversial or political or something of that nature, and you've not done the research, but you just want to be part of the party line, understand there's ramifications. There is consequences. If you're going to be, towing your party line, not fully understanding the full depth of everything, be prepared if someone calls you out on it, and understand if they do it constructively, lovingly, without emotion, and you guys can have a proper discussion and debate and be open to the opinions of every side, then go for it. But if you're going to like scream vitriol when you yourself aren't fully educated of everything that's, the nuances, you shouldn't be surprised if you get vitriol back, right? It's human nature, right? So my whole thing is constructive feedback is always a good thing. Okay? If you are the one giving the constructive feedback, understand that whomever you're speaking to, if you understand the personality and if they understand where you're coming from in giving that feedback, meaning that place that you're giving that feedback from, is it from heart? Is it from, just pure logic? What your perspective is? Is it because you're giving that constructive feedback because you want their job? Yeah, people are going to receive certain information differently than others, especially depending on the context of the two people talking to each other or a group of people talking to each other. So, yeah, I am my own lesson of I did not talk. I did not communicate something that was deeply personal in some previous relationship dealings, and I've suffered for it. Lose a friendship, lose a business, right? Like, that's not healthy. Have I learned? Hell yeah, it was a painful lesson. Have I learned it sufficiently where I will never make that mistake again? Only time will tell.
Well, I think we need to understand conversations one-on-one or one in few versus public communication.
That's a good differentiator.
Because the trick is, you may think on social media you're having a conversation with one person because you put a note, you put something in the comments. Somebody says something in the comments, you put something back in the comments. Your thought process is, well, I'm responding to this person. Well, all of a sudden you're fair game. And you're not just fair game in that moment. That information lives on. People have been fired for stuff that they've said. People have been not hired because of what they've said. People have been, they've lost marriages because of things that they've said. And it's not the person that you had the conversation with that you assumed it was just a friendly repartee between you and them. But that is, I mean, I remember there was a great story about a woman on social media, and this is back when Twitter was just starting out. And she was on a flight from London to South Africa. Okay, and it was an overnight flight from London to South Africa, and you can find this online. I wish I could remember the names, but she sent a tweet out with a friend of hers. Says, "Well, it says, yeah, I'm off to South Africa. I hope I don't get AIDS."
Oh yeah.
By the time she landed, it was the number one trending topic in the world.
Yep.
Not in in North America, not in Europe, in the world. There was 100,000 people tracking her flight. There was protests waiting for her at the airport when she finally arrived, and she was asleep the whole time on that 10-hour flight from London to Johannesburg. And when she got there in the morning, one of the tweets she got, or one of the texts that she got, was, "You're fired."
You're fired. Yep.
And that's social media 15, 17 years ago.
Now,
but it's probably worse today.
100% worse today. So, yeah. No, what you're saying, she was in PR of all things.
Yes, she was.
And should have known better and still did it, right? There are people who will defend that statement to the end, saying, look, that was supposed to be a comment between friends. Sure, it went viral, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, well, then fracking, pick up a phone so it's not freaking, it's not documented. And if you're going to have, make comments of that nature, even if it's in jest, though poorly as it is, it's not documented. I mean, just look, I say a lot of inappropriate things that, I'm Asian. I make Asian jokes all the time, right? I do. My accent would be considered wildly racist if I had a different skin coloring on, okay? Mm-hmm. But my accent is my accent, you guys, is what I grew up with, and I still can't do it right. So, look, it is in the eye of the beholder. I think there's time and place. Always time and place.
Absolutely.
Always time and place. And if you are going to say something that's going to be controversial, own it. There's a comedian, and I'm actually just cracking up these days, watching it, because I can't believe he's getting away with it. He plays his character where he gives reviews of chefs making fried rice or people making fried rice online, and it's Uncle something or the other. But anyway, he made a joke about the CCCP, the Chinese government, and he got banned, social media banned in China as a result of that joke. And so he was like, oh crap, I got banned out of the government, but he didn't get canceled, by us, because we're at pro whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then he made a stand-up routine where he made a one-off kind of joke about Taiwan. And then he goes, oh, look, my score just went up on the Chinese, blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was a stupid throwaway comment. It was kind of making fun of the fact that he got canceled. Oh, but guess what? People on the other side were like, you made fun of Taiwan. What's wrong with you? I just think it's crazy. But he owned it. In every interview, he's like, yeah, I said it. And mind you, he's Chinese, guys, or Malaysian. So again, but still, he could have easily, and he still very much potentially can get canceled, but he's owning it. So I don't know. I don't know, Ben, because that's very controversial. That's very like
I
in
mean,
this
look
in this
at Ricky
climate too.
Gervais, whatever his name is the comedian. I mean, there are so many comedians out there. Their job is to be controversial.
Yeah,
Their job is to sit there and tell you have spinach between your teeth on a national and international basis. Their job is to sit there and find the anachronisms and be able to
yeah,
sit there and point them out in a funny way.
right.
And I think it's not only what you say, but how you say it. It's the delivery, it's the audience, and it's also whether you can back it up or not. And like you said, do you own it? Do you say, hey, listen, this is me, this is my comedy routine? You can turn the channel. You can absolutely turn the channel. The problem is in our woke, cancel culture world, and somebody's going to cancel me for saying it, because it's offensive to you doesn't mean it's offensive to everybody. And if you have a problem with me, say, Ben, I didn't like what you said about that. Okay, let's sit down and let's have a Zoom chat about it. If I offended you, I will say I'm sorry. If I believe in it, I'll defend it. But I'm sorry that it offended you. But that just because it offends you doesn't mean that everybody in the world is offended by that comment. And I think we
So
all need to be in a position where we can sit there and say, okay, this is the hill I'm willing to die on. These are the fights I'm willing to fight. These are the things I truly and absolutely believe in and are not willing to compromise my well-being because of it. And I'm going to say something because hill or die, I'm going to say something. And other things we need to sit there and say, is this a public conversation or is this a private conversation? And be able to know in your mind what's acceptable, not only to you, but to the people you're having the conversation with.
man, I feel like should we just blast this out because we're gonna be hitting in on the holiday season here. It's like here, mom and dad and uncle, auntie, cousins, brothers, nephews, nieces. Like here you go. Sometimes things should be left unsaid during the holiday dinner parties. Just saying. Yeah, no, you're just cracking me up because you made me literally think of like all my nieces and nephews and all the different generations in my household, and everyone has a very different opinion. Not everyone's agrees, and no, we're not tactful with each other. Family, there's something very
Well,
just maybe
family's a
because we're
different
used to
animal
each other.
altogether.
I
Family is a
mean,
completely different animal.
but man, are they a microcosm of some of the bigger, broader things though, too, right?
Yes,
Like in different spheres coming together to talk and whether everyone's open to it or not. I would like to think our family's open to it. We know there's love, but yeah, man alive. There's been many times we've listened to each other and said, okay, I appreciate your insights. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
we're just going to walk away from that conversation. And we've all done that. We've all sat there around the dinner table going, yeah, somebody ring a bell because there's about to be 3 rounds going out on this one, and I'm not in.
Oh my god. Pass the butter now, pass the peas,
That's
peas
it.
time. Anyone
Something
want
I can
peas?
put in my
Anyone?
mouth so I can keep my mouth shut.
I can't tell you how many bottles of wine I've done that. I'm like, oh no, I need something else to, maybe not wine to drink.
Another piece of turkey, another meatball? Yes, please.
But you know
Don't
what's
care if
funny?
I'm already stuffed. I think I need something in my face so I don't return that repartee.
You know what's funny? You should say that though. I cannot tell you if anyone does get a heated argument. Food is a really good way of keeping you guys together. Like we've gotten some family, livelier conversations, and all of a sudden it's like, who's ready for apple pie? And all of a sudden it changes everyone's mood. Everyone's mood
Absolutely.
changes. So food, I think, is the unspoken word. If it's a business relationship or a personal relationship that's just fundamentally breaking down, actually it doesn't hurt to break bread. There's a reason why they say that.
That's right.
So thank you for that.
To me,
Thank
it's a
you.
big tub of ice cream. Pass the ice cream and let's just a couple of spoons. Forget about dolloping it into a bowl. Just everybody just grab a spoon and head for the tub. Let's go. But yeah,
Oh,
I think to sum all this up, when we're dealing with what are we afraid to say? If you believe in a subject, if you truly believe in a subject, and if it's a hill that you're willing to die on and you're willing to defend it and go into the conversation in such a way that you realize I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, but we're willing to have a conversation about it, then it's fair game. But it's the hit and run that drives me crazy. And that's what social media is. Social media is hit and run. Vitreous conversation, boom, and then walk away. And all of a sudden, they just drop the bomb and off they go to their next conversation. And, it just leads to these vehement conversations that just are not productive because there's no back and forth. There's no discussing. There's no logic behind it. There's no decorum. It's just, these bombs that are being dropped off, and no one's there to clean up the carnage.
Yep. Yep. That's all I can say. Yep. I got nothing else to say.
Okay. Yep. Let's leave it there. I'm Ben.
And I'm Syya.
And we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Gnaw on This, Business Bites.